Cropping up, stockers. Zach the Stock Cropper coming to you live from my Ford Fusion on a Sunday morning. Getting ready to go out and take a look and see how the cropper system is doing. And I haven't done one of these videos in 2 weeks after our field day video that I sent out last weekend. So excited to show folks what we've been up to and how things are doing. So I forgot my windscreen. It's blowing to beat heck today, so I'm going to try to film in the shelter so you can hear me through the mic and not a bunch of wind noise. So my apologies in advance. So the pigs are doing their thing. They're getting big. You can see for those that were here at our field day, we pretty much got the ends. We finished cleaning them all up here in the last day or two, and pigs are making a fresh deposit on the soil. And we're getting lined back up with our drives. You can see we've got the 2590 parked out of the way because our battery electric transport system is back in effect, and we are going to aim down our first run again. You can see the regrowth that we had. So this is the strip that we started in on June 15th, and we grazed it once down, and then this is what grew back from it. So the next 2 weeks we're going to be firing down this run here. We debuted our electric drive system at the field day, and I haven't talked about that yet, so I wanted to comment quick on what we did. Probably better climb out of the pen to show you. So through the genius of my partner Sheldon, we came up with a way. We wanted to have a way to show with proof of concept that this thing could be moved on its own. And so what we did was we made basically an extension hub with a big sprocket so we could get the gear ratio right, and we used semi-tarp motors, which will not be the permanent design change, but we just wanted to use something that was relatively inexpensive to demonstrate that that this could be done. And there's a lot of other options that could come down the pipe with some further engineering and development. But we've got chains on each side. They come over to our battery center. So we've got some deep cycle batteries in this box. So right now, just for the sake of this first year, we're just charging the batteries up every couple days. Ideally, we'd have our solar panels on top of the barn, and they'd be collecting the sunshine and just storing the energy in the battery. We've decided, since we've got not too much left here with this year, we wanted to mainly establish that we could move this thing under electric power. We figured the solar part's going to be pretty easy, but wanted to show folks how it is we went about that, kind of our logic behind it. And the nice thing is, hopefully for the moves that we're going to have, we are going to try to power it primarily with the electric system here as we move for the next couple weeks. So we've got our chicken tractors back out. We didn't have these in effect at the field day, but the chicks were a little bit small, and with the cool weather we had, then we didn't want to introduce them, but we put them out 2 days after the field day, and they're doing great. They're growing fast, and they're out here digging and scratching and doing what chickens do, and plucking at the Sudan grass, knocking some of that over. One of the things we did different is we don't have them following the cluster cluck right now. We wanted to see how they would do in this is our second run of pasture and how it's recovered. We wanted to give them just fresh grass here to finish on. So we're going to let them go through here, and hopefully what they don't use left, we'll end up probably grazing this strip last to the finish to get us to the end of October with the other animals, when the plan is to butcher them. So I wanted to talk about this outside row effect and what's possible when you empower canopies with full sunshine, and they can still look like this at the end of the season, almost a black layer, being fully green from top to bottom. So this is the Pioneer 1185 on the outside row, and I wanted to talk through with what we're seeing. So what I've done is I've unmasked a 17.5 foot row, or 1/1000th of an acre, to show you the ear size and variance as we go through here. So one of the things, if you were here at the field day and you actually walked, I've never owned up to the fact, but I screwed up royally when I planted this. Planting was a really frustrating day. I was trying to do too much, trying to video and not think through stuff, and screwed up on my sprockets and only planted about 25,000 the first time across the field on the outside row due to some mental errors. So I ended up having to come back and plant it a second time with just the outside rows to get our population thick. And that's why when you look at our plant spacing, it's less than precision planting quality, to say the least. But regardless of that, what you see here, even with a crappy job planting, is still a lot of corn. So what I did was I counted up what I had in 17.5 feet a row, and I think it was 51 harvestable ears. And I made an estimate. We're probably average somewhere from the short nubbins to the longer ones. We're probably about 32 long with an average of 16 around. And by that math, with a kernel factor probably of 75 to 80,000, this is somewhere between 325 to 350 bushel corn that we'll have on this outside row with double planting it and doing a crap job. So it would have been fun to nail it and see what this thing could have done if I had really good spacing on the outside row. That's not the way it worked out, but there's not going to be a lot of 325 or 50 bushel corn harvested around these parts. So even with a crap planting job, we'll take it. But it just goes to show when you give things space, time, light, what can happen. There's definitely going to be a difference on these east rows, because you can see the difference versus what's on the west side of the strips over there. They're definitely deader. They won't probably be as good as the wind comes up and gusts. But I just wanted to show how this is shaking out. I'm excited to cut the corn here in a couple weeks and see how this thing actually weighs out versus other stuff around. So this is what it looks like on the third pasture run that we started about a couple weeks before the plot day. So I think we hit this run on like the 22nd of August. And this is the run that we had a lot of disturbance from the pigs on as they were getting bigger when we started catching those rains, and they really rooted stuff pretty good. But you can see we've already got some pretty decent regrowth. I think if we keep our warm temps up the next couple weeks, we should have, this strip turning completely green again before things die off here this fall, which is great because I didn't know, how things were going to recover through it, but we still have things after a lot of disturbance that you can see. A lot of little shoots, wispy stuff. I don't know that we're going to have to necessarily come in here with I was thinking we were going to have to come out and seed some rye to get this thing to green back up, but it appears to be doing it on its own. So, the nutrients that we've laid down here are getting locked up. It's not like they're just going down into tile water. They're getting sucked up by the remaining plants that are here and holding it next year when we take the corn over there and we put it right here, along probably with some soybeans next year. Last thing I wanted to hit on is a touchy subject, but probably just going to send it anyway, and that's talking about subsidies in this business. And Friday we found out we were going to get another round of CFAP. CFAP 2.0 is going to be available to sign up for at the FSA office on Monday. And man, I just it's really getting silly, especially with the market action of late. How much more do we need to buy our votes here in corn country to make up for the poor policy of the last 60 years kind of culminating in this position that we're in? I don't know, it just feels gross. And some would say, well, you don't have to take the money. You could just say no, and that's true, you could, but the reality is that 99% of people will take the money and they'll use that money to prop up rents, or just have, you know, to be able to buy things. And so you're kind of, you know, it's a competitive market, and if you don't take the funds, the reality is you're competing with a bunch of people that do. And so it's just this slippery slope. And you know, nobody ever seems to question it, though. We all, I mean, most of the folks I know in this business, you know, are proclaimed free market capitalists, but there's nothing about a free market that's propped us up the last couple of years. And it's just, and I don't see a swell of people that are standing up saying, what can we do to change this so we're not so dependent? It's embarrassing when I go back and look at my own, you know, my own gains or profitability in the last 5 years of farming, and how much of that has been based off of some sort of taxpayer funded initiative one way or the other. And part of the reason I started the stock cropper, or we started the stock cropper I should say, was to try to emancipate ourselves from that system where we are relying on taxpayers to bail us out for a food policy, you know, that is really only intended for one thing, and that is to produce cheap food at all costs, come hell or high water. And something's got to change, and I don't know that the stock cropper is the answer. Stock cropping is not going to replace the industrial food complex, even in my wildest dreams, but a lot of things need to change. I'm tired of getting bailouts, and I'm tired of more people not being tired of it too, I guess I would say. So I think that's it. Those comments probably aren't overly popular with some folks, and they're going to piss some people off, but it doesn't make them wrong, because they're maybe offend what somebody's taken. And I think it's offensive what we've allowed to go on and just take and not say anything about it. So I'm saying it. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Have a good week.